Welcome to Tech News of the Week with your host, Chip Harrington. Hey everybody, Chip Harrington's off this week. I'm Ned Bellavance, and let's talk about 3 tech news things that caught my eye this week. The first one is about vulnerable historians. Not venerable, but vulnerable. And if you're not sure what a historian is, if you listen to this week's Chaos Lever, you would know all about them. But just to remind you, it's not a bespectacled bookworm sitting on a Chesterfield with a nice cup of Earl Grey, as nice as that may be. Nay, it's essentially a data lake of time series information that it gets from operational technology systems that report to it. The time series data can be of great use to folks that are on the business side of things in the IT world, so the historian often has to straddle 2 different networks, the IT network and the OT network, providing access to the data scientist while also collecting data from OT systems. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency has issued a warning about 5 vulnerabilities in the GE Prophecy Historian, joining previous vulnerabilities found in the Schneider Electric Valheo Historian and the Siemens Cymatic Process Historian. Because of their unique placement, historians, a client-facing vulnerability could be exploited to gain access to industrial control systems, building automation systems, or really any other OT system. And that's compounded by the fact that most OT systems rely on network segmentation or air gapping, real air gapping, for their security, and they are rarely patched. The historian, on the other hand, should not be considered part of the process loop and should be part of the regular IT patch cycle. If you are an IT team and you're not sure if a historian exists, go talk to your OT team and see if any historians are hooked up on your network. The second story, Twitter app that I never used was rendered useless. Now, I've been using Twitter on a regular basis for close to 10 years now, and being the basic bitch that I am, I've never strayed from the basic web and Android applications. Now, I've flirted with TweetDeck a few times, which is owned by Twitter, but never have I strayed into the morass of third-party apps that enhance the experience. All of this to say, I had never heard of Twitterific before last week when their surprise demise popped up on my feed. Now, it turns out Twitterific was built way back in the heyday of 2007 and actually helped coin the term tweet, as well as popularize the bluebird of Twitter. Now, for their part, Twitter has long had a tumultuous relationship with third-party applications and has broken those apps on several times by making small tweaks in the Twitter API that all of those apps rely on for functionality. Although Twitterific and similar apps like Tweetbot and Phoenix have limped along and found workarounds over the years, that all came to a screeching halt with nary a word from Twitter. Basically, the folks at Twitter made a change that blocked all third-party clients without so much as a public announcement or private message to any of the client app developers. The apps just stopped working. Craig Hockenberry, the creator of Twitterific, published a fantastic blog post called The Shit Show, which I will link down in the description, and it makes for entertaining and frustrating reading. Finally, on January 17th, 4 days after blocking all third-party apps, the Twitter dev account acknowledged the change with a cryptic tweet, quote, "Twitter is enforcing its long-standing API rules that may result in some apps not working." Just a wild understatement and kind of a big FU to all the third-party apps that are out there. Most of the apps have now been removed from the Apple and Google app stores, and now everyone is a basic bitch like me. Enjoy? And for the third story, more layoffs from Microsoft and Google. You know, if record profits got you down, have you tried firing some of your workforce? Last week, Microsoft announced the layoff of 10,000 people in its workforce, and now Google has followed suit with a reduction of 12,000 people. Both companies have said something along the lines of, well, we overhired during the pandemic, and now the market and economic environment has shifted, and we find that we are overemployed, whatever that means. While it might be true that they hired to meet projected demand during the pandemic, and the overall economic outlook isn't as rosy as some might like, a post from Gurgly Rose rightly points out that Microsoft and Google they're not exactly hurting for money. Microsoft had net income of $61.3 billion in 2022. That's not revenue, that's net income. And Google, while they haven't yet reported their end results for 2022, for the first 9 months, they are sitting at $46.3 billion in net income with 1 quarter to go. That's not revenue, that's net income. Now, I realize it's more complicated than that, but you know what? These two companies made over $100 billion in profit last year, and they're saying they can't continue to employ 22,000 people during a financial downturn. Now, I might not understand the complexities of the modern economy. However, I can still smell bullshit when it's under my nose. Those are the 3 stories that caught my eye last week. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments if you enjoyed this and you want to hear more tech news from me and my co-host Chris Hayner. You can check it out on the Chaos Lever podcast or subscribe to the Chaos Lever newsletter. Links are down in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe out there. Bye for now.